Geass? Code Geass is a series that takes place in a world where Japan was colonized by Britain. It's ruled by King Charles and his dynasty and all of the different princes and everything. We have our main character, his name is Lelouch. Lelouch is like one of the king's sons, so he's a prince of what is in the series called Britannia. And Lelouch, he's basically on a journey of revenge and basically a journey to reshape the world as it is, because like his mother was killed in front of his eyes and his sister lost her eyesight, and his father didn't do anything in the situation. I think he thought that his father had something to do with it. It's been like a couple months since I've seen the whole series, but Lelouch, his whole character goal is to change the world for his sister, to make the world a better place. But like he receives this ability, but in the beginning of the series, he doesn't really have a motivation to fulfill this goal because he just sees himself as just a regular person. There's nothing really too much he can do. But then he receives this ability from like this woman. I'm not going to go into detail about who this woman is. All I'm going to say is that her name is C2, and she's dope as crap. And when it comes to C2, she gives him the ability called the Geass, which enables him as the user to be able, basically whenever he looks someone in the eye, he can make them do whatever he wants, like anything that he wants, unless it's beyond the physical capabilities of the person. So Lelouch, after he develops this ability, he runs in with this rebellion group, who are kind of fighting against Britannia, because like how the world is set up, especially in Japan, is that you have this sort of separation between the Britannians and the Japanese, which the 11s are the Japanese. Like they have, basically they're treated like how African Americans were treated in the early parts of America, like after slavery ended, like, and they were treated like this because Britannians feel a sort of superiority over them due to the fact that they defeated them during the war between them. And the only reason why they were able to beat them were because of these sort of mech units that they call nightmares. And the mech units were like ahead of their time, and all the Japanese had were like these spaceships, no, not spaceships, these airplanes and like tanks and stuff. But the nightmares had such high mobility that they could be able to like destroy tanks like it was nothing. So it was like, that's kind of the reason why they were able to take over. So because of this sort of segregation going on in Japan, which is called Area 11 at the time, and Japanese people called 11s, it leads to like the Japanese living basically in the slums, like in these like really, or the ghettos, these very, very like downtrodden sort of situations where they like, you know, they have limited resources and everything. And like, you know, they're what's his name? Lelouch, okay, is traveling with his best friend. This is all before, like, you know, he gets the freaking Geass. But Lelouch is traveling with his best friend, and like he goes in and like they kind of get into this tank, you know, that these terrorists were trying to use and everything. There was a lot that happened in the first episode. I can't remember every little detail, but I gave you a little bit of details about the world and a little bit of details about Lelouch and who he is and his whole goal. And also I have to mention his best friend and kind of like the deuteragonist of the series, Suzaku. Suzaku garners a lot of hate because they think he's sort of a contradiction, a walking contradiction, because he has a sort of philosophy towards like he wants to help the 11s have liberation, but it's like he wants to do it from within the system. Like, he doesn't want to rebel outside of the system. He wants to be a soldier for Britannian government and show that 11s can actually, like, make it in Britannian society. Which, like, looking back, it isn't really that contradictory. It's just sort of like, he's just doing he's sort of like a fool. He's kind of a fool, but, like, he's doing what he feels is right and what makes sense to him. Because he doesn't believe in the idea of bloodshed. He doesn't want hundreds of people to freaking die. He doesn't want a war to break out. He just wants people to, like, you know, stay in their positions in society and then slowly climb through the ranks, which is a philosophy that some people actually believe, which, like, I don't personally like. In the case of that series, I was more leaning towards Lelouch's philosophy of complete rebellion. But, Lelouch eventually develops this group called the Black Knights, and basically the whole story is the Black Knights and Lelouch versus Suzaku, King Charles, and the whole British, you know, Empire. And there are a lot of characters and a lot of different parts to this series. Like, there's Colin, there's the orange dude, there's freaking C2, there's just so many freaking characters involved in the story, and a lot more characters. Like, there's Princess Euphemia, Shirley, his sister Nonali, there's Shinichiro, there's Velita, there's Cornella, there's freaking Nina, who I freaking can't stand. Oh my god. There's Lloyd, there's Dieter, there's freaking Toto, Sissel, Revels, just so many freaking characters involved in the story, and each character has their own, like, personality and goals in the, like, and a lot of them play important roles in the main plot. And the series is a very solid series.